you don't know the difference between leadership and dictatorship, then where do I start with you?
Hillary Clinton's low opinion of the people that support this campaign should be denounced in the strongest possible terms.
If you're that rattled in a debate, try being president.
Hillary, they are not a basket of anything. They are Americans, and they deserve your respect.
If you're chumming around with the head of the Ku Klux Klan or people that have that tie, that's deplorable.
It is the evening some have been waiting for. 90 minutes guaranteed to be chock full of at least a certain level of excitement, where the comparison can be made to the preseason game between two teams that were last seen in the title matchup of any sport, putting them back together to basically capitalize on the notoriety they once were a part of, and that I could also speak as well. Because let us face reality, a vice presidential debate certainly does not carry with it the same level of thrills, chills, and potential spills that mark the meeting of those who would be the leader of the free world. However, let us pause a moment and consider reality. The candidates for president are two of the most disliked people in Mother America. People are more likely to vote for their opponent, not because they believe in what they stand for, instead hoping that the disliked one stands trial. So it is not possible that when Mike Pence and Tim Kaine speak their minds, that they will be the voices of reason. Or is it that they will be the voices of political reality? Because it is most certainly possible that one of them could, in the worst case scenario, be the individual who one day is followed by an agent dressed in black carrying the codes for a nuclear launch. Welcome to this special edition of America Talks Live. I am your forebearer of light and darkness, Ed Berliner. Let us dive into the vice presidential waters that may seem shallow to some, but could actually provide more depth of character than what we have witnessed from Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. A reminder that your phone calls are a part of everything we do. Punch those numbers. Get in the game. 1-877-NEWSMAX. 1-877-639-7629. Tell America what you believe will happen this evening and why. We begin the political beguine with the co-founder and editor-in-chief at the right-leaning website Politistick, Jennifer Burke. I got it right the second time, Jennifer. Good for me. Joined by the former NYPD special investigator, veteran political pundit, and author. His latest is a work of fiction dealing with the president and global economic power, The Conversion Prophecy. Michael Solomon joins us here in the studio. Michael, thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure, Ed.
All right, Jennifer, I'm going to go ahead and start with you because let's get right to it. The first question everybody wants to know is, why should we watch tonight?
Why should we watch tonight? Really, tonight might be the night that you actually see two adults in the room, and maybe we'll actually be able to stay focused on policy unless the debate moderators try to rope Mike Pence into defending personal things Donald Trump has done. I was baffled. The presidential debate, it was supposed to be about national security and policy. In the last 20 minutes divulged into Donald Trump, you said this, you said that, Obama's birth certificate, and I'm thinking, what does this have to do with anything? So I think that I know more people right now that are more eager to watch the vice presidential debate than I have in the past. Let's put it that way.
All right, Michael, that's a good point, because when Jennifer points out the words adults in the room, let's be honest, we've been talking about that now for a year, at least to this point. But will the American people want to see the adults in the room?
I got to tell you, I think that the attendance tonight watching this debate is probably going to be like Sesame Street in the afternoon. I mean, this is crazy.
I'll have you know, young man, that many people do watch Sesame Street in the afternoon to find out what the letter P stands for, okay?
Well, yeah, and the letter P in this case probably, hopefully, stands for politics. But I don't know what's going to be tonight. First of all, 43% right now don't even know who these people are, who Pence and Kaine are. And I think hopefully they're going to introduce themselves to the American public tonight. But I think their primary goal tonight is to keep things level. They don't want to rock the boat too much. I mean, between Hillary and Trump, they're rocking the boat enough. So, I mean, they just want to keep the waters calm a little bit. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if Kaine's going to go off on trying to bring up some of what Donald has said, and I don't know if Pence is going to go pushing back onto what things that Hillary said with the deplorable comment and the baskets, and now the kids living in a basement, and their biggest advance in life is going to be a barista. Give me a break.
I know some people who actually probably should be baristas, but that's another story.
I know. But they're just going to have to keep the waters level, and that's basically it, because they both got things in their past that have to come up.
Well, then let's do this, Jennifer. When it comes to that, they have to basically, in the minds of many people here tonight, it doesn't make a difference which vice president it is. They're going to be making apologies for their candidate and for many of the things that the sides have been hammering away on here in the last couple of months. Okay, let's take that as a granted then. In your opinion, Jennifer, which one has got the tougher job then to be an apologist?
Which has a tougher job of being the apologist? Just when you look at the news coverage over the last couple of weeks, it's really been ramping up against Trump. I mean, even though some, for example, with the Clinton Foundation, Huffington Post even called for the Clinton Foundation to be shut down, but you didn't see many in the liberal media talking about that. I mean, for a major liberal publication, online publication, to say that is a huge deal. But they just kind of brushed it aside. But I do think that Pence will come out stronger simply because when you hear Mike Pence, he delivers great remarks. You can just tell how principled
Let's
he
be
is.
honest, he looks presidential,
serious.
Jennifer. He looks presidential. When you look at the guy, you say, he's got the gray hair, he looks good, he's got the suit down perfect. He looks like a guy that could actually be in charge of a nation.
Right. And I can tell you, when we were watching the Democrat National Convention, I paused the TV so many times to take pictures of Tim Kaine just because might be endearing to be a goofball. Joe Biden might be able to pull off, that, oh, he's old Joe. But it doesn't, I'm not buying Tim Kaine as vice presidential material. I'm just not. I don't think he comes across very well. I think Mike Pence will win the night, if you ask me.
So then let's look at some of the issues here, because Michael, if you take Pence and Kaine and you put them side by side and you put what people would be looking at possibly as issues going on here, I mean, it's fascinating to look at. Quite frankly, there are some Catholics who have gone after Tim Kaine going, you can't be a Catholic and have your abortion stance that you have. Mm-hmm. There are people who've gone after Mike Pence for what he has done with the LGBT community and some of the laws in Indiana right now. He's taken one heck of a hit for that with some of the laws there as well. So if you look at the comparisons between these two guys right here, are you thinking to yourself that tonight both of them are going to start making their case for president? Would that be also a smart move for them?
They have to try to look presidential tonight because, they're the one heartbeat away. And, people say, oh, they're third in line. No, they're first in line. They're not second in line because it's only one person to go. They're going to have to make their case of why they can continue on in case something happens to either one of those, either Hillary or Trump, depending on if someone were to pass away or be impeached for some reason. So they're going to have to make that case. I mean, I look at Tim Kaine and I'm reminded sometimes of Howard Dean years ago when I'm waiting for him to start screaming tonight. I mean, it's just...
Better watch it. I've done one heck of an impersonation on that. If somebody calls for it, I've been known to do that in the past.
I am sure. I think we all have.
But he's the guy who tried to do the Trump impersonation too as well at the DNC, and he got a lot of heat for that. As a matter of fact, I think it was Stephen Colbert the other night, or last week as a matter of fact, who brought out one of his production assistants, took him out to the street and said to people, would you like to meet Tim Kaine? And they walked up with two guys in black suits behind him, and they introduced him. People are going, oh, wow, it looks just like him. Nobody knows who this guy looks like.
I was watching Fox the other day. They took photographs of both of them out on the street, and they asked about 10 people, and nobody had no idea who they were.
But be serious here for a moment, then, Michael. I'll stay with you, Jennifer. I'm going to come to you with the same thing here. Let's get back to this whole apology tour that both of them are on. It is difficult for Tim Kaine because he has got to be making apologies for a woman that America does not trust in any sense of the word. He can't get past a lot of this. He can't say that it was an offhand comment, that it was a goofball comment, that maybe it was open to interpretation, because a lot of it has law behind it.
It does. It does. And it's frightening. The other problems with the, get into the tax issue with Trump. I mean, we didn't pay. Has she looked at her own record? A couple of years ago, she didn't pay any income taxes either. She had a $400,000 loss.
Well, but to be fair, we're also talking about a guy who employs hundreds of thousands of people and puts businesses out of business and puts people out of work. We're talking about a personal tax return here in many ways. But she took advantage of the tax code just as much as anybody else.
Everybody takes advantage of it. Listen, to be honest with you, I haven't paid taxes in 3 years. I had a $110,000 real estate loss a couple of years ago, and I've got a legal carry-forward loss. I mean, because I didn't make any money, does that mean I have to pay taxes?
I want your accountant, by the way. Give me his number before you leave because I need to get everything that I can. Jennifer, let's look into this from Mike Pence. We know that Tim Kaine is going to have an awful lot to answer for here. If you're Mike Pence right now, though, Jennifer, do you just dig in as hard as you possibly can? Dig in on everything that is Hillary. Dig in on everything that's there. And if Kaine says something about Trump, let it go. Walk away. But you've got to keep focusing in on Hillary Clinton and make the case, because right now, in many ways, you're sort of the life vest for Donald Trump.
Right. You definitely have to focus. You know, it's interesting. The first presidential debate and the debate on Sunday night are during football games, which is indicative that they don't really want people watching, because I'm upset that I have to miss Sunday afternoon football. But, you know, in football,
it depends who your team is, quite frankly, Jennifer, because if your team is 0-4 right now, you don't have to worry. Go ahead.
That's why you meant the DVRs.
My fantasy team is too. But in football, your opponent tries to get in your head. They try to mess you up. They try to get you off track. They try to, get you to mess up your route, your focus, whatever. And so they need to look at it that way. Don't get in the rabbit holes. If Kaine brings up Trump's taxes, which there's nothing illegal about it, I don't know why no one has brought up the fact that Hillary Clinton's State Department lost $6 billion. A friend of mine said that on Facebook the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh, I had completely forgotten about that. Stay focused. Let the focus be on her, and don't let them shift to, she was a scorned woman when they talk about things that Trump said about women.
Wait a minute, let me stop you there. I only got a couple seconds before we take a break. We'll talk about it, but just very briefly, 15 seconds. Wouldn't you say you got to stay away from the salacious side of things in the VP debate?
You have to try. You have to try, but I heard someone say they wouldn't be surprised if Tim Kaine showed up with a T-shirt, something negative about Donald Trump. You never know this election season. It's crazy.
10 seconds to you, Jennifer. Do you think that what happens tonight will change anybody's mind as to who to vote for?
It might, because I think people that don't tune in to the Sunday afternoon ones during football games might stand a chance possibly to look at this one. And I know some people that are kind of still on the fence and are looking at these two.
So I got about 20
Maybe
seconds.
Not a lot, but a little.
About 20 seconds to you. Don't talk about your fantasy team. But 20 seconds. Do you think this will change any minds?
I doubt it very much. Vice presidential debates in the past have really not changed people's minds at all.
Although
look what happened with the Dan Quayle debate.
I was just going to say, we will be kind of looking for that moment when he says,
president.
"You are no Jack Kennedy," and just the look on Quayle's face right there was like, I have nowhere to go. I'm stuck at this point. Hang tight. Michael Solomon and Jennifer Burke will take a timeout, as will you. We will deal with a lot more after the break, because we're going to focus to the presidential candidates themselves, and including talking about what is going on in Los Angeles from a law enforcement capacity. This is America Talks Live. You're invited. Be part of the discourse. 1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-639-7629. Be part of the conversation as we continue right here on Newsmax.